State officials can now predict which areas of the state are in the most danger of a wildfire and when that fire danger is at its highest. There is also a growing understanding of what it takes to help people survive wildfire season and better ways to battle the flames once they get started.
Harrah, Oklahoma has had its fill of disasters. Over the last 2 years, the community has been hit by severe storms, a flood, an ice storm, and a wildfire. But Harrah prides itself on knowing how to recover from disaster. Mayor Larry Fryer says it's in their blood.
If it wasn't for the strong-hearted people here, the backbone, the Polish, this Harrah is a Polish community. If it wasn't for that old-time settling blood in them, we wouldn't have made it.
The wildfire in March of 2011 destroyed 30 homes in Harrah. It was a learning experience, the mayor says he has not forgotten, and in fact, because the community endured, it has left the town stronger and better.
We're more focused, we see things, and you learn a lot of things after these disasters.
Harrah has a fire department of 6 full-time employees and 20 volunteers.
They're volunteers. They're not getting paid for it. They're not. That's not their livelihood. They work another job, but they're out there sacrificing their. And I had firemen lose their own home, putting out other people's fires.
And Harrah firefighters know well what happens when flames reach an eastern red cedar tree. Mayor Fryer says it was that invasive species that fueled last year's fire.
These cedar trees, and going through what Luther and Slaughterville's going through right now, it's all because of cedar trees.
The mayor says the cedar trees that kept last year's wildfire alive are still there to feed another fire should one occur.
If you drive around, you'll see where that fire come through here, and here's these cedar trees. They're dead, but they're still sticking up on these people's land.
The homes have been rebuilt. Others just cleared away and the land left to Mother Nature to take over. But the scars of last year's fire can still be seen on the trunks of surviving trees in the front yards of homes that were just months ago ravaged by flames. George Geisler is the state forester. Because of this year's weather conditions, he sees more than just red cedars as culprits in the spread of wildfires.
The post oaks and blackjacks of central Oklahoma and the oaks and hickories in northeastern Oklahoma will go up just as easily and just as ferociously as eastern red cedar right now.
And the state forester says the fire season is far from over.
We're in conditions now that are extreme. It is rapidly approaching, if not surpassing, the conditions that we had last year in 2011. And without that break, we see it continuing until the first good rains that we might get in the fall.
Oklahoma has more than 900 rural fire departments staffed by volunteers. While there are programs to help volunteer departments acquire the equipment they need, Geisler says the biggest issue those departments face is keeping fully trained volunteers.
They have turnover. This is taking people away from their jobs, their families. You can only do it for just so long. Well, if you have high turnover, it's hard to keep trained people out there.
And when it comes to calling in extra troops to battle a fire, Geisler says earlier is much better than later.
Lately, what we find ourselves trying to do is getting them to recognize the situation early, call for help early. And we have wildland task forces now that have been established in a lot of counties.
Back in Harrah, Mayor Larry Fryer has an idea he thinks will protect his town and many others from the flames of wildfire season.
And we're going to get with emergency management, forest department, and all this, and we're going to come up with a plan on trying to put in these fire breaks, these permanent fire breaks, before they get to these cities.
Fryer sees permanent fire breaks as a first line of defense to protect his town from the wildfires that often ravage eastern Oklahoma County.
There's no town should ever get burned up like Harrah did, like Luther did, and shouldn't. We should be prepared. But if you have that permanent fire break there already and you maintain it, you keep it cleared, ready to go, hopefully you'll never use it. But one day you might have to use it, and you better hope you got it.
Permanent fire breaks, however, would have to cross private property, and that raises issues. Then the fire breaks would have to be maintained to keep trees and other vegetation from overgrowing them. State Forester George Geisler is also a bit skeptical.
We've got fires right now jumping interstate highways. And so it may be a part of a solution to get a fire break in there, but it is not the solution.
But Mayor Fryer sees another stakeholder in this issue, a private industry that has a vested interest in keeping wildfires in check.
Insurance companies, they should be jumping on the bandwagon saying, hey, we're all for this because, you know, them houses burning down.
Fryer plans to take his plan of permanent fire breaks to the legislature next session, and he hopes to build support to clear the legal hurdles and find some funding to bring his plan to reality.